Hi, welcome to Del Hayes Press. I wanted to take the opportunity to let y'all know about our newest book. We're awfully proud of this one. It is called Bravest of the Brave, Volume 1 by Master Sergeant, retired, Joseph Bowman. This is the first of a series. This is Volume 1 covering the years 1918 to 1943 of, as you can see, the U.S. Air Force Medal of Honor recipients. Joe began working almost 30 years ago, over 30 years ago, to preserve and publicize the achievements and the life stories of all 62 U.S. Air Force Medal of Honor recipients. It's the first time, it almost has to be the only time, that all the Medal of Honor recipients for one of America's military services, military arms, have all been covered. You can do the Coast Guard, but there's only one. So that's a pretty easy lift. In this case, it's all 62. He has been doing ongoing research ever since he started this in the early 90s. And because of that, he has been able to do interviews over the years, not just with family members and squadron mates and peers, but in a number of cases, the recipients themselves. Notably, that was Lieutenant Colonel J. Zeamer, who is becoming more famous as the leader of the Eager Beavers, who are the most highly decorated aircrew in American history. Just as an aside, that's actually my wheelhouse. I've got a book out about that, but more about that later. As far as Bravest of the Brave, like I said, he's been working on this for over 30 years. He's been doing research literally right up to publication time. We completed and locked down the book in February. He was still getting material for this book at that point in time. So this really is as cutting edge in terms of what we know from archival, bibliographical, and personal interviews as anybody could know right now. His real accomplishment on this is to, in layman's terms, he wanted to make this accessible to readers. This isn't just a scholarly account or an academic account, but he wanted this to be a very detailed and very accurate general history for the general public, because, again, certainly as an Air Force veteran himself, he wanted these stories to be known. And, of course, in the past, certainly up through, I'm Generation X, I grew up with several of the more famous names in this first volume: Rickenbacker, Luke, Frank Luke, Doolittle. We knew these names, and just as well as we knew some of the various Hollywood stars and that sort of a thing, but even they are starting to be less known, which makes a book like this all the more important. As you can see, it is very comprehensive. In this particular volume, he covers 24 different individuals in 17 chapters, and something he's done that's unique as far as we know to this series is that he's presenting them not in alphabetical order, but in chronological order by mission, so that you don't have, say, Goettler and Bleckley, who were the first Medal of Honor recipients for America's fledgling air arm back in 1918. They don't show up as individual entries in this account. They show up together in one chapter, so you can read about them the way they should be. Same thing for Zeamer and Sarnoski for their 16 June 43 mission to Bougainville and Buka Islands, and most notably for the Ploesti Raid, in which you had 5 different Medal of Honor recipients for that one raid. And it doesn't make a lot of sense to break those out into individual accounts. That should be one cohesive story, and that's what Joe has done here. In each of these chapters, you can see that we introduce let me get back here to the beginning of one. You can see that we introduce the recipient, in this case, Eddie Rickenbacker, with a quick summary at the beginning, and a photo, and we have a before the medal section, which describes their life up to their Medal of Honor action. He's got a whole section devoted just to their Medal of Honor action, and if they survived it, he has a whole, he takes them to their end of their life. It's truly something special, and again, as far as we know, it's unprecedented. Nobody has done this level of biography of all of these gentlemen in this case, a single volume. There are going to be 2 more volumes. This one takes us up to 1943 in World War II. The second volume finishes out the war, 1944 and 45. And then the third volume will cover the Korean War up to the present. He's hard at work on volume 2 right now. But we wanted to let everybody know about this. Again, we're super proud of this. The artwork was done by Piotr Forkashevich. He is a truly remarkable aviation artist that is going to be doing the covers for all 3 of the books, and I'm working with him on some other projects as well. But again, the name of the book is Bravest of the Brave, the U.S. Air Force Medal of Honor Recipients. It's by Master Sergeant retired Joseph Bowman. This is available on Amazon in both the paperback form and Kindle right now. It's published over the weekend. Tomorrow is National Medal of Honor Day for 2025, so it seemed like a very appropriate time to try to bring this book out. We hope everyone who has any interest in not just Air Force Medal of Honor recipients, but the history of the Air Force, which is begins to be told through this series, again, starting back in World War I, and you can see its development through these biographies for just the armchair enthusiasts, the people like me who are just, and my dad for that matter, who are just fascinated by that period and love those planes and love the stories of the heroic sacrifices that were made by these gentlemen. It's a wonderful book. If you're a military scholar, you will appreciate Joe's assiduous research. There is an endnote, an extensive endnote section. There are 2 appendices where you can find the citations, every citation received by every recipient for their American, for the American awards and decorations. And in the second appendix is a listing of all their awards and decorations, both domestic and foreign. There's a very extensive bibliography beyond that, and an index. So it's for everyone. It's for everyone who wants to run down his sources and appreciate that aspect of it. But for anyone just wanting to know about these gentlemen, you won't find a better source than this beyond reading a book, a book dedicated to that person. And unfortunately for most of these gentlemen, no one ever bothered to do that. But now Joe has done that for them as much as can be done right here. We hope you check it out. Thanks a lot.